Captain Alex Morgan stood on the bridge of the survey vessel Orion, his eyes fixed on the strange ship that drifted silently in space. The alien vessel was unlike anything he had seen before. Its hull shimmered with colors that seemed to flow like water, and its shape reminded him of a leaf caught in a gentle breeze. "Life signs?" Alex asked, his voice calm despite the excitement he felt. Lieutenant Samantha Cruz looked up from her console. "Yes, sir. But they're weak. Whatever hit them did some serious damage." Alex nodded. "Prepare a boarding team. We're going to help them." An hour later, Alex stepped through the airlock into the alien ship. The air was thin, with strange smells he couldn't place. The gravity felt wrong too, much lighter than Earth standard. "Stay alert," he told his team. "Remember, we're here to help, not to fight." They found the aliens in a large central chamber. The creatures were tall and slender, with skin that reminded Alex of opals. Their four arms moved with grace as they worked to repair their systems. When they noticed the humans, they froze. One of the aliens stepped forward. Its voice came through the translator with a musical quality. "You walk in our ship without protection. How is this possible?" Alex smiled. "We're just visitors wanting to help. I'm Captain Alex Morgan of the Earth ship Orion." The alien bowed slightly. "I am Zilra, lead scientist of this vessel. We are Valari." Zilra studied them with large, curious eyes. "You say you are from Earth?" "That's right," Samantha said. Zilra turned to the other Valari, speaking quickly in their language. The translator struggled to keep up, but Alex caught words like impossible and death world. Zilra turned back to them. "Earth is classified in our records as a Class 5 death world, a planet so hostile that intelligent life should not evolve there. The gravity, the atmospheric pressure, the radiation levels, the predators. How you survive such conditions?" Alex laughed. "It's home to us. We don't even think about it." The Valari scientist moved closer, studying Alex with fascination. "Your muscles must be incredibly dense to function in Earth's gravity. And your bones, they would crush one of us if we were to visit your world." "We can discuss biology later," Alex said. "Right now, let's focus on fixing your ship. What happened?" Zilra's expression changed. "We were studying this region when we detected unusual energy signatures. We were attacked without warning by the Krell." "The Krell?" Chief Engineer Olivia Foster asked. "Another species from a world like yours. A death world. But unlike you, who offer help to strangers, the Krell seek only to conquer. They believe their evolution on a harsh world gives them the right to rule species from gentler planets." As the humans helped the Valari repair their ship, Zilra explained more about the galaxy. The Valari came from a moon orbiting a gas giant, with minimal gravity and a non-toxic atmosphere. They had advanced technology, but lacked physical strength and endurance. "Your people would be valuable allies against the Krell," Zilra said as the last repairs were completed. "Would you consider visiting our homeworld? Our leaders would be interested in meeting another death world species, especially one that does not share the Krell's violent tendencies." Alex looked at his team. Samantha nodded eagerly, while Olivia looked curious. Dr. Gregory Nelson, their diplomat, stepped forward. "We would be honored to establish relations with your people," Gregory said. "But be warned," Zilra added, his voice growing serious. "The Krell are expanding through this sector. If they learn of Earth, they may see you as either competition or potential allies in their conquest, and they do not take rejection well." Alex smiled. "We've faced challenges before. If these Krell want trouble, they'll find humans are full of surprises." Little did he know just how soon those words would be tested. The Valari homeworld looked like a painting come to life. Floating islands drifted gently in the pale pink sky. Delicate structures of crystal and metal sparkled in the light of the nearby gas giant. Alex, Samantha, Gregory, and Olivia wore special lightweight suits. The Valari had warned them that human skin oils and breath could harm their sensitive environment. The low gravity made them feel like they were bouncing with each step. "Remember to move slowly," Gregory whispered as they approached the Valari High Council chamber. "We don't want to accidentally hurt anyone." The council room was a large dome with a floor that seemed to be made of living plants. 12 Valari sat in a circle, their opal skin reflecting the soft lights above. Zilura stood to one side, ready to introduce the humans. "Honored Council," Zilura said, "I present the delegation from Earth, a Class 5 death world." The council members murmured among themselves. One of them, with patterns of blue across their skin, spoke up. "I am High Counselor Venlo. We welcome you to Valari Prime. Your rescue of our research vessel was most appreciated." Alex stepped forward carefully. "We're happy to help. Where we come from, helping others in trouble is just what you do." Another counselor, with deep purple markings, leaned forward. "Is it true that you can break bones just by squeezing too hard?" Samantha smiled. "We can, but we learn control from a young age. Humans are strong, but we're also careful." "The question," said a third counselor with green patterns, "is whether we should form an alliance with Deathworlders. The Krell have shown us what that path leads to." "We are not the Krell," Gregory said calmly. "Humans value cooperation, not conquest." The debate continued for hours. Some counselors saw humans as potential protectors against the Krell. Others feared that any Deathworld species would eventually turn violent. Meanwhile, Olivia noticed something strange. A group of Valari workers kept looking at the humans with what seemed like anger. When the council called for a break, Olivia whispered to Alex, "I think we're being watched." Alex nodded. "I noticed. Stay alert." As they walked through the gardens outside the council chamber, Zilred explained more about Valari society. "Our people have always valued harmony and beauty. We never needed to evolve physical strength because our world had few dangers. Our minds became our greatest tools." "That explains your amazing technology," Samantha said, looking at a floating transport pod nearby. Suddenly, alarms blared across the garden. Zilred's eyes widened with fear. "Security breach. Someone has tampered with the atmospheric controls." Alex felt it immediately. The air in their suits was getting thinner. Someone had targeted the human delegation. "Our suits are being drained of oxygen," Olivia said, checking her wrist computer. "I can reroute the systems, but I need time." A group of Valari security officers rushed toward them, moving faster than Alex had seen any Valari move before. Behind them came the workers Olivia had noticed earlier, now holding strange devices. "Stop them," one shouted. "No Deathworlders on Valari Prime." Gregory stepped forward. "We came in peace. We mean no harm to your world." "Lies," the leader of the group said. "All Deathworlders bring destruction. The Krell taught us that." Zilra moved between the humans and the angry Valari. "These are not Krell. They saved our research team." As tensions rose, a new alarm sounded, different and more urgent than the first. A Valari officer rushed to Venlo, who had just entered the garden. The High Counselor's skin paled to almost white. "What is it?" Alex asked, feeling his suit's oxygen levels stabilizing thanks to Olivia's quick work. Venlo looked at the human delegation with new eyes, no longer suspicious, but desperate. "Long-range sensors have detected a Krell battle fleet entering our system. They will reach Valari Prime in 6 hours." The angry Valari protesters lowered their devices, suddenly faced with a real threat rather than an imagined one. "Now," Venlo said to Alex, "we will see if humans are truly different from the Krell." The Valari Command Center bustled with activity. Screens showed the approaching Krell fleet. 20 large warships shaped like arrowheads, their hulls black and red. "They're moving faster than we expected," Venlo said, her voice tight with worry. "We have less than 4 hours now." Alex studied the tactical displays. "What defenses do you have?" Our ships are mainly for research and trade. We have 12 defense vessels, but they're designed to handle pirates, not a full Krell invasion force. Gregory asked, "Can you call for help from other worlds?" Zillura shook his head. "The nearest allied system is 3 days away. We are alone." Alex looked at his team. "Then we need to help. Olivia, what can you tell us about their ships?" Olivia studied the data the Valari had shared. Their technology is different from the Valaris, more brute force. They use radiation weapons that would be deadly to the Valari, but less effective against humans. "Interesting," Samantha said. "That suggests the Krell evolved with higher radiation tolerance than even Earth has." A new alarm sounded. A Valari officer called out, "They've launched faster scout ships. First wave will reach our atmosphere in 30 minutes. The Valari defense fleet moved to intercept, but they were outmatched. Within minutes, 3 Valari ships were destroyed. The others fought bravely but could only slow the Krell advance." In the command center, Alex asked permission to contact the Orion. After a quick discussion with his crew still in orbit, he turned to Venlo. "My ship is small, but we have weapons that might surprise the Krell. With your permission, I'd like my crew to join the defense." Venlo nodded. "Any help is welcome." The Orion moved into position and engaged 3 Krell scouts. The human ship was more maneuverable, and its laser weapons cut through one of the scout ships. The others broke off their attack, seemingly surprised. But it wasn't enough. More Krell ships pushed through, and soon landing craft were heading for the surface. "They're targeting our major cities," Zillura said, pointing to the projected landing sites. The first images from the landing zones showed the Krell for the first time. They were massive reptilian beings with thick, armored skin. Even in Valari's low gravity, they moved with power and purpose. Their eyes glowed amber, and they carried weapons almost as large as the Valari themselves. "We need to evacuate the civilian population," Gregory said. Venlo agreed. "Our underground sanctuary complexes can hold millions, but moving everyone will take time." Samantha suggested, "We can help coordinate. Humans are good at crisis management." As the Valari began the evacuation, the humans split up to help. Gregory went with Venlo to organize the government response. Samantha joined the medical teams. Olivia headed to the Valari Science Center to analyze Krell technology for weaknesses. Alex joined a group of Valari security forces near one of the landing zones. From a safe distance, they watched as the Krell established a base of operations. "They move efficiently," Alex observed. "Military precision." The Valari commander, a lean figure named Tevma, looked at Alex. "We have never been a warrior society. Our security forces are trained to handle civil issues, not repel invaders. Sometimes the best defense isn't strength, but smarts," Alex said. "Tell me everything you know about how they fight." As they talked, a large Krell ship descended from the clouds. Unlike the others, this one was covered in symbols and elaborate designs. "Their command vessel," Tevmot explained. "Their leader, a war dominant, will be aboard." Alex watched as the ship landed in the center of the Krell position. "Then that's who we need to focus on. In my experience, cut off the head and the body falls." Tevma looked doubtful. "With what weapons? With what army?" Alex smiled grimly. "We'll have to make do with what we have, and what we have is human ingenuity and Valari technology. Together, that might just be enough." Chaos filled the streets of the Valari capital. Buildings of crystal and light that had stood for centuries cracked and fell as Krell troops pushed forward. The air grew thick with dust and smoke. Alex and Tevma moved through back alleys, staying out of sight. They had been separated from their security team during a sudden Krell advance. "We need to reach the evacuation point," Tevma said, his voice shaking. "It's still 3 districts away." Alex peered around a corner. 2 Krell soldiers stood guard at the end of the street. "We'll find another way." A sound caught his attention. Soft crying coming from a collapsed building nearby. Alex moved closer and saw 5 Valari children huddled inside, their caretaker lying unconscious beside them. "We have to help them," Alex said. Tevma looked anxious. "The Krell will be here any minute." Alex didn't hesitate. He crawled into the damaged building, careful not to disturb the weakened structure. He checked the caretaker, who was alive but badly injured. "I'll have to carry her. Can you leave the children?" Tevma seemed surprised. "You can carry an adult Valari. In this gravity. Easily." Alex gently lifted the injured Valari, who weighed little to him even with his suit on. "Let's go." Across the city, Samantha worked with Valari medical teams. The Valari were excellent doctors, but had little experience with trauma injuries. Samantha showed them how to stabilize wounds and organize triage systems. "Your species recovers from injuries that would kill us," a Valari doctor told her. "We evolved with many predators on Earth," Samantha explained as she wrapped a Valari's wounded arm. "Those who healed quickly survived." A young Valari rushed in. "Krell troops are 2 blocks away." The medical staff froze in fear. Samantha stepped forward. "We need to move these patients now. I'll hold them off if they get too close." Meanwhile, Olivia and a team of Valari scientists worked frantically in a research lab. The building shook as Krell weapons hit nearby structures. "I think I found something," Olivia said, pointing to data on a screen. "The Krell suits emit specific radiation patterns. It might be how they communicate." The lead Valari scientist, Perrin, looked excited. "If we could disrupt that pattern, they'd lose coordination," Olivia finished. "We need to build a jamming device." In the government complex, Gregory helped Venlo manage the crisis. Reports came in from across the city. The Krell were taking control of major infrastructure and setting up positions around sanctuary entrances. "They're not just invading," Gregory realized. "They're hunting your people." Venlo's skin paled. "But why?" "Our world has few resources they would value." "Maybe it's not about resources," Gregory said. "From what we've seen, the Krell believe strength gives them the right to rule. Your people's physical weakness might make you targets." A Valari communications officer interrupted. "Counselor, we're receiving a message from the Krell command ship." The main screen showed a massive Krell warrior. Unlike the others, this one wore elaborate armor decorated with what looked like trophies from other species. "People of Valari Prime," the Krell said, his voice deep and rasping. "I am war-dominant Krastor. Your world now belongs to the Krell Empire. Submit, and you may live as servants. Resist, and you will be eliminated." Venlo stood tall despite her fear. "We are a peaceful people. We have never threatened you." Krastor laughed. "Peace is weakness. Strength is the only law of the universe. Those who cannot defend themselves do not deserve to hold worlds." The transmission cut off. Gregory looked at Venlo. "We need to find the others and come up with a plan." Back on the streets, Alex's group had nearly reached the evacuation point when they ran into 4 Krell soldiers. Alex gently set down the injured Valari and stepped in front of the children. "Stay behind me," he told Tevma. Then he faced the Krell, unarmed but determined. The Krell seemed surprised by this lone human standing against them. They raised their weapons, but Alex moved first, faster than they expected from a being his size. The battle had just begun. Alex dove to the side as energy blasts from Krell weapons hit the wall behind him. The Valari children huddled behind a fallen piece of crystal building. Tevma tried to keep them calm. The Krell soldiers moved forward, expecting an easy victory. They didn't expect Alex to move so quickly in their direction. Earth's gravity was 3 times stronger than Valari's, which made Alex faster and stronger here than he was at home. He grabbed a metal rod from the rubble and swung it hard at the first Krell. The impact knocked the alien back, but didn't seem to hurt it much. The Krell's armored skin absorbed most of the blow. 2 more Krell fired at Alex. He rolled away, coming up behind a broken wall. The 4th Krell moved to circle around him. "Tevma, Get the children to the evacuation point, Alex called out. I'll hold them here. As Tevmel led the children away, Alex faced the Krell alone. He knew he couldn't beat all four in a direct fight. He needed to be smarter. The Krell communicated with clicks and hisses. Alex noticed they kept looking at devices on their wrists. Maybe these were like their radios or computers. Alex picked up a piece of crystal and threw it hard at one Krell's wrist device. His aim was perfect. The device sparked and broke. The Krell seemed confused and started making angry sounds at the others. While they were distracted, Alex ran. He didn't run away from the Krell, but toward them. He crashed into one, knocking it down, then grabbed its weapon. The gun was heavy, designed for Krell hands, but Alex could use it. He fired at the other Krell, forcing them to take cover. Then he backed away, still firing, until he reached the corner where Tevma had gone with the children. At the Valari Science Center, Olivia and Perna had made progress on their jamming device. The Krell use radiation patterns not just for communication, but also for their targeting systems, Olivia explained to the Valari scientists. If we can create the right kind of interference, we might be able to blind their weapons. Perna held up a small device. We've modified this field generator to produce the radiation pattern you suggested. But its range is limited, maybe 50 meters at most. That's a start. We need to make more, and we need to get them to our people in the field. On the other side of the city, Samantha and her medical team were moving patients to an underground shelter when they were surrounded by Krell troops. Surrender now, the Krell leader said through a translator device. Samantha stepped forward. These are injured civilians and medical staff. Under any civilized rules of war, you must let us pass. The Krell studied her. You are not Valari. What species are you? Human. From Earth. The Krell seemed surprised. He spoke to his soldiers in their language, then turned back to Samantha. Humans, we have heard rumors of another Deathworld species. You will come with us. The war dominant will want to speak with you. Samantha fought quickly. I'll go with you, but you must let my patients reach the shelter first. The Krell considered this, then nodded. Agreed, but only because your kind might be worthy of joining the Krell Empire, unlike these weaklings. In the government complex, Gregory was meeting with Venlo when two Krell soldiers brought in a familiar figure. It was Alex, his hands bound, his face bruised. Alex, what happened? Gregory asked. I got the children to safety, but there were too many Krell after that, Alex said. They seemed very interested when they realized I was human. The door opened again, and more Krell entered with Samantha. They're collecting us, Gregory whispered to Alex. But why? Their question was answered when war-dominant Krastor himself entered the room. The massive Krell leader looked at the humans with interest. So these are the other Deathworlders, he said. Bring them to my ship. I have a proposal for them. One that will change the fate of this pathetic world, and perhaps the galaxy itself. Venlo watched helplessly as the Krell took the humans away. The Valari's last hope seemed to be fading. But across the city, Olivia was still free, working frantically to complete more jamming devices. And aboard the Orion, the human crew had received a distress call from Earth. Help was coming, but would it arrive in time? The inside of the Krell command ship was hot and humid. Alex, Gregory, and Samantha stood before war-dominant Krastor in a large chamber decorated with trophies from conquered worlds. Armed Krell guards watched their every move. Humans, Krastor said, his voice deep and rumbling. Your species is unknown to us, yet you show the marks of Deathworld evolution. Strong muscles, dense bones, quick reflexes. Alex kept his face neutral. We didn't come here to fight you. We were meeting with the Valari as friends. Krastor made a sound like rough laughter. Friends? With weak creatures who never had to fight for their place in the universe. What could they offer you? Knowledge. Art. Different ways of thinking, Gregory said. Strength isn't everything. The war dominant walked closer, towering over them. Even in the lower gravity of the Valari world, he moved with power and confidence. You're wrong. Strength is the only truth. The galaxy belongs to those strong enough to take it. He pointed to a display showing the Valari city. Look how easily they fall. They had this world for thousands of years, but did nothing worthy with it. Samantha spoke up. They built a peaceful civilization. They created beauty and knowledge. And where did that get them? Krastor asked. One push, and they crumble. The war dominant turned back to the humans. I offer you a place in the Krell Empire. Not as slaves like the Valari will be, but as equals. Deathworlders together, ruling those who evolved on gentler planets. The humans exchanged glances. And if we refuse? Alex asked. Then you die with the Valari. Outside the ship, Olivia moved carefully with Tevma and a small group of Valari resistance fighters. They carried the jamming devices disguised as pieces of broken technology. The devices are ready, Olivia said. We have 10 of them. If we can plant them around the Krell command ship and main positions, we can disrupt their communications and targeting systems. Tevma looked worried. But what about your friends? They're inside that ship. That's why I need to get close enough to send them a message. Olivia explained. I've modified this communicator to bypass Krell security, but I need line of sight to the ship's communication array. They moved through the ruins of the city, avoiding Krell patrols. The once beautiful crystal buildings were now broken and dark. Valari civilians hid wherever they could, too afraid to reach the evacuation points. Our people have never known war, Tevma said sadly. We don't know how to fight. Sometimes the best resistance isn't fighting directly, Olivia said. It's disrupting the enemy's ability to fight. That's what these devices will do. Back on the Krell ship, Krastor waited for the humans' answer. We appreciate your offer, Gregory said carefully, but we need time to discuss it. The war dominant studied them. You have until sunrise tomorrow. Then you join us, or you die. Guards took the humans to a holding cell. Once alone, they spoke in whispers. We need to escape and find Olivia, Alex said. And warn Earth, Samantha added. The Krell would eventually target our world too. Gregory looked out the small window at the Valari city. The Krell don't understand what makes humanity different from them. We evolved on a harsh world too, but we learned to cooperate, not just dominate. Alex nodded. That's our advantage. The Krell expect us to think like them because we come from a similar world. But we don't. Their conversation was interrupted when their cell door slid open. A young Krell officer stood there. War Dominant orders you to witness the execution of Valari leaders, he said, to show you the price of defiance. As they were led through the ship, Alex noticed something blinking on a screen near the communication station. It was a message in human code. Olivia had reached them. The message was brief. Devices ready. Disruption at dawn. Be prepared. Alex caught Gregory's eye and nodded slightly. Samantha saw it too. A plan was forming. The Krell thought humans were just like them. Deathworlders focused only on strength and domination. They were about to learn their mistake. The main square of the Valari capital was filled with Krell soldiers. They had rounded up Venlo and other Valari council members. The Krell had set up large screens so everyone in the city could watch what was about to happen. Alex, Gregory, and Samantha were brought to stand near Krastor. The war dominant wanted them to see the execution up close. Watch carefully, humans, Krastor said. This is the fate of those too weak to defend their world. Gregory looked at the sky. The first light of dawn was approaching. Whatever Olivia had planned would happen soon. Across the city, Olivia and the Valari resistance teams moved into position. Each team carried one of the jamming devices. They had to activate them all at the same time for maximum effect. Everyone ready. Olivia whispered into her communicator. Team 1 ready, came the first response. Team 2 ready. Team 3 ready. All 10 teams reported in. Olivia checked her watch. Activate on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Now. In the square, Krastor stepped forward to address the crowd. People of Valari Prime, your leaders failed to protect you. Their weakness has cost you your freedom. From this day forward, you serve the Krell Empire. Suddenly, every Krell communication device began to emit strange sounds. The targeting systems on their weapons flashed with error messages. The large screens in the square filled with static. Krastor roared in anger. What is happening? Alex saw their chance. He nodded to Samantha and Gregory. They had discussed this moment in whispers during the night. Each knew what to do. Samantha moved quickly, grabbing the weapon from the confused guard nearest to her. Gregory ran to Venlo and the other Valari leaders, pulling them away from their Krell guards. Alex faced Krastor directly. This is what happens when you underestimate cooperation. The Valari may not be physically strong, but they're smart. And humans know how to work together with other species. The war dominant drew his own weapon, a massive energy blade. I will kill you myself, human. Alex was unarmed, but he had grown up on a world 3 times heavier than this one. He moved faster than Krastor expected, dodging the first swing of the energy blade. Across the square, chaos erupted. The jamming devices had disabled the Krell's coordination systems. Without clear communications, their military discipline broke down. Samantha used the stolen weapon to keep Krell soldiers at bay while Gregory led the Valari Council members to safety. Valari civilians, seeing their leaders escaping, began to fight back however they could. Olivia's voice came over the city's communication system. Citizens of Valari Prime, the Krell's weapons and communications are disabled. They can be defeated if we work together. Perena added, each Krell soldier relies on their technology. Without it, they are lost. Stand up now. Alex continued to dodge Krastor's attacks. The war dominant was strong, but Alex was faster in the lower gravity. He waited for the right moment, then moved in close and struck at the controls on Krastor's armor. The elaborate armor sparked and parts of it shut down. Krastor roared in frustration. This changes nothing. My fleet still surrounds your world. At that moment, a new alarm sounded. A Krell officer ran to Krastor. War dominant. Multiple ships have entered the system. They're not Valari. In the sky above, bright flashes could be seen even in the morning light. The human reinforcement fleet had arrived and engaged the Krell ships. Krastor looked up, then back at Alex. Who are you humans? How can a Deathworld species value weakness? That's your mistake, Alex said. We don't see cooperation as weakness. We see it as our greatest strength. The square erupted in fighting as more Valari joined the resistance. The tide was turning. For the first time since the invasion began, hope spread through the city. Zilra approached Alex, holding one of the jamming devices. We need to get this to the Krell command ship. It will disable their central systems, but someone must take it inside. Alex looked at the device, then at the massive Krell ship looming in the distance. I'll do it. Zilra's expression was solemn. The radiation levels required. It might be fatal even to a human. Alex took the device. Sometimes that's the price of freedom. Alex moved through the shadows toward the Krell command ship. The special jamming device was heavy in his hands. Around him, the battle for Valari Prime raged on. The human fleet engaged the Krell ships in orbit, while on the ground, Valari citizens fought alongside human marines who had landed to help. Samantha and Gregory had wanted to come with him, but Alex knew this was a one-person mission. The radiation from the device would be dangerous to anyone nearby when it activated. Be careful, Samantha had told him before he left. Come back alive, Gregory had added. That's an order. Alex reached the edge of the landing field where the command ship sat. Krell guards patrolled the area, but their coordination was still disrupted by the jamming devices throughout the city. Alex waited for a gap in the patrols, then ran across the open space. His earthborn muscles carried him faster than any Krell could move. He reached the ship and found an access panel. Inside, the ship's corridors were dimly lit with a reddish glow. The air was thick and hot, like a tropical jungle on Earth. Alex moved carefully, avoiding Krell crew members. He needed to reach the central power core. Meanwhile, Olivia had joined Perina at the Valari Science Center. They monitored the battle from there. The human fleet is holding its own against the Krell, Perina said, watching the displays. But they're outnumbered. They just need to hold on long enough for Alex to get that device to the core, Olivia said. In the city center, Samantha, Gregory, and Zilra led the ground resistance. Valari, who had never fought before, were now standing up to the Krell invaders. The Krell are falling back to defensive positions, Gregory observed. They're losing their advantage. Zilra looked concerned. But where is their war dominant? Krastor would not retreat so easily. As if answering his question, a loud crash came from nearby. Krastor emerged from a damaged building, his armor damaged but still functional. His eyes blazed with fury. "Where is the human who challenged me?" he roared. "Where is Alex Morgan?" Samantha stepped forward. "He's making sure you lose this war." Aboard the command ship, Alex had reached the central power core. It was a massive chamber filled with pulsing energy conduits and radiation that made his skin tingle even through his protective suit. He placed the jamming device near the main control panel and activated it. The countdown began. 60 seconds until it would release a pulse that would disable all Krell systems. Alex turned to leave, but the door slid open before he reached it. A Krell officer stood there, weapon raised. "Human intruder," the Krell shouted. "Stop." Alex knew he couldn't let the Krell disable the device. He charged forward, tackling the alien despite its greater size. They crashed to the floor, fighting for control of the weapon. The device continued its countdown. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Alex managed to knock the weapon away. But the Krell's powerful arms pinned him down. 10 seconds left. With a final surge of strength, Alex broke free and pushed the Krell away from the device. 5 seconds. He wouldn't make it out in time. 3 seconds. Alex closed his eyes and thought of Earth. 2 seconds. The device activated with a silent pulse that spread throughout the ship. All systems shut down immediately. The artificial gravity failed. Emergency lights went dark. The mighty Krell command ship was dead in space. Outside, the Valari and human forces watched as the Krell command ship's lights flickered and went out. "He did it," Zilra whispered. In the city center, Krastor saw his ship go dark. His own armor systems failed completely. Without his technology, without his weapons, the war dominant was just another creature. Gregory stepped forward. "Your empire ends here, Krastor. The Valari stand free." The battle ended quickly after that. Without central command, the Krell forces surrendered or retreated. The human fleet secured orbit around Valari Prime. 3 days later, Alex woke up in a Valari medical center. Samantha, Gregory, and Olivia stood around his bed. "The radiation," Alex said weakly. "Nearly killed you," Samantha said. "But Valari medicine, with some human blood transfusions, pulled you through." Gregory smiled. "The Krell have withdrawn from this sector, and the Galactic Council has officially recognized Earth. Not as a threat," Olivia added, "but as protectors." Later, as Alex stood with Zilra watching the sun set over the rebuilding city, the Valari scientists said 2 Deathworld species met here. One sought to conquer through strength alone. The other offered friendship and cooperation. Alex nodded. "That's the difference between the Krell and humans. We learned that surviving a harsh world isn't just about being strong. It's about working together."